Imagine a wall of water so immense it blocks out the sky, a global cataclysm tearing the earth apart, leaving only one massive wooden vessel surging through the wreckage. In Islamic tradition, Hazrat Nuh's survival on the waves is coupled with a hidden spiritual counterpart. The history of the ship is the foundation for an even deeper lesson on salvation. Long before the rain started falling, early civilizations like this one were already drowning in arrogance. Society had decayed into cruelty, ruled by elites who strictly enforced the worship of their ancestors. For 950 years, Nuh pleaded with his people to abandon their idols and change their ways. The wealthy elites laughed at him. To them, he was a commoner making a pathetic grab for power. Their mockery worked. After nearly a millennium of preaching, only a tiny fraction of the population, around 80 individuals in total, actually listened to his warnings. That level of deep-seated corruption triggered a divine reset. The entire world was slated for destruction. The dilemma was how to save a handful of righteous people when everything around them was about to be washed away. Nuh was not left to figure out shipbuilding on his own. He was commanded to construct an ark under direct divine supervision, guided by revelation every step of the way. The project required staggering amounts of timber, specifically a highly durable teakwood known as sagwan. Entire forests had to be cultivated, harvested, and shaped into the colossal ribs of the ship. The dimensions laid out in historical accounts are immense. The ark measured roughly 1,200 cubits long, 600 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high, dwarfing ordinary human structures of its time. Inside, it was highly organized. The lowest of 3 levels was designated entirely for wild beasts, keeping them securely isolated in the hull. The middle compartment was exclusively for human believers, while the upper deck housed birds and grazing animals. This highly organized, multi-tiered structure did not function as a standard boat. Some traditions describe it operating almost like a submarine, keeping primarily submerged to weather extreme turbulence. It was a self-sustaining ecosystem built to preserve a microcosm of the world. Gathering all those animals sounds logistically impossible, but Nuh did not have to hunt them down. Classical scholars record that divine doors of wonder opened before him, allowing him to easily draw pairs of every animal directly to the boarding ramp. To keep the ecosystem from tearing itself apart in cramped quarters, divine intervention stepped in again. The lion, for example, was afflicted with the world's very first fever, keeping it completely docile for the duration of the journey. But an element of danger still found its way on board. As a donkey struggled to cross the threshold, the devil himself clung secretly to its tail, slipping onto the ark right before the doors sealed. Then the cataclysm began. Water poured violently from the sky, while powerful geysers erupted straight up from beneath the earth. The ground cracked open as torrential rains slammed into the dirt, rapidly turning the world into an ocean. As the water rose, Nuh pleaded with his own son to get on board. His son arrogantly refused, insisting he could climb a nearby peak to escape. He was swept away seconds later, swallowed by waves the size of the mountains he thought would save him. The ark endured the violent turbulence for months. Eventually, the waters receded, and the massive wooden hull finally came to rest in the hills, on the safety of Mount Judy. The physical vessel had fulfilled its purpose. It saved humanity's lineage from total annihilation. Yet in the Islamic tradition, the true legacy of this ship was only just beginning. Humanity's physical lineage was preserved that day in timber and pitch. But while that literal deluge receded long ago, the Islamic narrative suggests that a different kind of storm remains, one that a wooden vessel cannot navigate. This shift from history to theology is anchored in a specific statement from the Prophet Muhammad, the Hadith of the Ark. In it, the Prophet draws a direct parallel to Nuh's survival. He states, "Truly, the people of my house in my community is like Noah's Ark. Whoever takes refuge therein is saved, and whoever opposes it is drowned." That household is known as the Al-Bayt. For millions of Muslims, this explicitly refers to the Prophet, his daughter Fatima, her husband Ali, and their 2 sons, Hassan and Hussein.
The flood they are saving you from isn't made of water. It represents the modern deluge of earthly trials, the anxiety, the misery, and the spiritual delusion that can easily overwhelm a person's life. Taking refuge in this modern ark means following their teachings. By aligning with the guidance of the Al-Bayt, a believer develops a shield of deep piety, a spiritual anchor that holds firm when everything else falls apart. The calamities of this world are inevitable, rising like waves that no one can truly avoid. Boarding this ark grants the capacity to endure those trials, providing a clear heading toward the peace of the hereafter.